Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking. I want to take some time out of your day to tell you about this game. It is Fallen Angel. Fallen Angel is a kind of heavy, complex Euro game for up to 4 players, 2 to 4 players, where each person is going to be taking on the role of a Spelljammer. If you remember that from D&D, remember Spelljammer? If you don't, like kind of like a futuristic but fantastic sky captain that basically has been tasked, along with the other players, to prevent this elder, like, home of the gods, that basically is this giant meteorite comet type thing, from slamming into their home planet and destroying civilization as they know it. Basically the idea is that there were these elder beings that created the world that you live in, this world of Asteria, and they like kind of put everything into motion for you, and then they left, you know, just kind of let you do your thing. And then as time and millennia went on, people just had forgotten that they even existed. But now, of course, here comes this meteoroid or whatever to slam into your planet and destroy you and your family and your loved ones and what have you. And then what actually was happened is that it isn't the gods being angry at them or anything, but this other futuristic evil race of, like, kind of robotic, fantastic beings have discovered this and are using it as a weapon to take you out. And so you're going to be combating them, as well as trying to dismantle this planetoid before it hits you, and also trying to save the people on the planet as well. And so there's like a few different games going on. This is a dice Euro. I love dice Euros, so I was really excited to play this game, and it really gives me a lot of pleasure to show you this one because I've had a lot of fun with this. This is a medium Euro that I'm going to say is dipping its toes into heavy. This might be a little more complex than people you know, might be ready to handle, but I think even if you aren't a big fan of heavy Euros, there's a lot of stuff going on, and the mechanisms interlock so perfectly and so well that you don't, after you get done with that first turn of trying to figure out what's going on, the game just flows and works really, really well. So let me show you how the game is played. That might take a little bit long. I apologize for that. There is a lot going on with this game, but I want to show you or give you a good overview of what happens in a game of Fallen Angel, and then we'll come back here and we'll talk more about why I really, really like this one. Alright, cool. I have set up a game of Fallen Angel for 4 players, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through what you see here step by step, and then I'm going to show you what happens on a turn. Now, I am not going to show you like a full game turn and all the processes and everything like that. My goal here is just to give you a really good overview of what you can expect when you play the game, and detail some of the mechanisms that you have. Now, this is a very high-level prototype that I was sent. This is, my understanding is, what the game is mostly going to look like. There might be some superficial changes that goes on as far as the quality control and also like thickness of cardboard and things like that. But what you're seeing here is very, very close to what the finished product's going to be. But I invite you to go and check out the Kickstarter page, and you can kind of look at the updated pictures and what have you there as well. So, as I've explained in the introduction, the idea is that you live on this world where this giant asteroid is, which is actually like the birthplace of the elder gods that created your world of Asteria, has been taken over by these evil robotic creatures, and they are causing this ancient city basically to slam into your planet in an attempt to destroy all life that's there. And so you and the other players are working to try to destroy this before it manages to wipe you out. Now, this is not a cooperative game, mind you. Yes, it has a cooperative theme. You want to prevent your world from dying, but no, you are trying to be like the best savior, if you will. And you don't all lose if the thing crashes into the planet. It actually might behoove you, if you think that you, as far as your points go and what have you, to let it happen, because then the bonus points for it occurring might be less, and therefore you'll maintain your victory. So just keep that in mind, and I'll touch on that in a little bit here. Basically, this is a dice Euro. Each player will start with 7 dice, and they're going to roll those dice, and then they're going to be placing the dice into these locations to activate the powers that are there. And the powers then will allow them to do several things. They'll allow them to collect gems off of this giant asteroid city thing that's coming and clashing down, because the idea is that you are like attacking it to try to bust it up. And so then the raw minerals are these energy crystals that created that city, and then you're going to be using that to power up your ship. Each player will have this cool little board. Each one is distinctive. You know, it's kind of neat. I always like when they go the extra effort to make sure that like the stuff looks different, you know, from board to board. So I appreciate that about the artistic design of the game. And on this board, you're going to have certain things that are going to be like, this is your shields that you'll keep track of. Now, I'm going to mind you that they're going to use things like shields and like attacks and things like that. You know, basically that are going to like prevent you from doing these. You can't ever get destroyed. Basically, like if you have shields of 3 and a certain action would do 4 damage to your ship, you just don't get to do it. That's how it works. Then you have your engine power, which is this little slider here. The more engine power, obviously, the better, and allows you to do more. It has cargo spaces for you to put your gems there. These bars over here, you start with 7 dice, but as you collect these cubes that are like the people on the planet surface, you'll be able to slot them into these spots, and then you'll be able to activate more dice and get more dice that so you'll have more dice to roll. More dice to roll, obviously, is always good. Now, quickly, before I forget about this, you'll notice that there's these 3 impressions here. You get these technologies, and I'm not going to like try to hold them all in here. These technologies allow you to do certain things. Now, the basic technologies you start with just increase this one, as you can probably recognize. This increases your engine. The bottom one increases your shields, and the middle one increases the distance that your airship can move down here, collecting those cubes, those people, trying to save them. The way technologies get activated, and I'm just going to kind of show this to you, is that you will have these little markers on here. Normally they're off of it, and so you will take actions to put the marker back onto it, meaning that it is good to go. When you use it, you flip it over to show that it has been used, and then you take that marker off. Now, you're able to put the marker back on through an action, basically to like activate it or prime it to be used, but you don't get to flip this over until the turn's over. Basically, these are one use per turn type of things. Now, the reason why these have these slots and they're not just on your board is, like, you know, the 3 of them here, is because the evil robots, remember I mentioned them? There's 3 of them on the board, and there'll be a random 3 for each turn of the game. These robots, or whatever, if they are destroyed, and if you are the person that controls the area, on the back side there are little new, better technologies, and so you'll be able to replace the technologies you have with the technologies that's on the back of those monsters or those creatures that you must destroy. So that, as they say, is that. Now, the board itself, you're going to notice that you can't see this thick line here and this thick line here. You're going to have 3 regions on this board. So this is a region, this is a region, and this is a region. Now, there also these are considered to be sections. These little spots here are sections of the board. So you'll hear sections and you'll hear regions. So sections is this small little spot, region is the space of 3. So each one of these spots that does not have, you know, so there's a red marker here, like these have blue markers. At the beginning of each turn, what happens is that each one of those is going to be randomly placed in one of those sections, and then they will have this number randomly placed below them as well. Now, that isn't, the first thought I thought that was like the die roll or something. No, it has nothing to do with the die roll. That's actually the victory points for having majorities in those sections. And I will explain that in greater detail in just a little bit, but just keep that in mind as we move forward. Now, this is a game, I'm going to just say right now, that has a lot of moving parts and has a lot of different things going on. I really enjoy it because of that. It definitely is a game that It might take a turn or two to really get the swing of things, but once you do, you kind of it all kind of clicks together, and it really is like a very seamless game with very, very good interlocking mechanisms. So, as I said, each person will take these dice and they'll roll all 7 of them. After they roll all 7 of them, and these are, kept out in the open, I'm just dropping those there, so those would be 7. Now, normally you'd keep them like above, like your player board or whatever, but I don't have that much room because this game board is a little bit larger, on the larger side. So you have those 7. Each person then totals up the number of their dice that they rolled, and then the player with the lowest amount will then be like on this turn order track, the player number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they'll place their markers on there, so you know what the turn order will be for that particular round. After that is determined, in turn order, what happens is that each person is going to be taking dice, and they're going to be placing them in these locations. You can see there's these little arrows here. What they do is they take a die and they go ahead and place it there. I'm just putting it there to show how that works. And then after they've placed the location there, they then can use the ability that's located on that particular spot. Now, one of the big major things that you have to disassociate with this is that there's lots of games where, like, if you put the die on there, the number on the die, like the pips, like determines something to do with the action that is there. That is not the case in this situation. The number on the pip on the die, what that does is that makes it so the next person that has to place on there has to go higher than them. So like they'd go like this to a 6. And then the next person would have to play there would have to play something higher, and now they'd have to break apart and go 2 dice. So then they could go with, they could take a 4 and a 3, like so. And so they keep climbing up there. There is nothing preventing somebody from using a space twice. And as a matter of fact, that is something that is quite common and will be done very often when you play this game, like so. And you don't have to increment by 1 either. I'm just doing that for the sake of showing this. The reason why that is important, because you can put your dice in a location more than once, is that on these plaques, you will see that there are, and I will explain what each one of these does, they will have like these little hash marks. So the first time you use it, it's for this. The second time it's worth this. The second time it's worth this. And as they increase over to the side, the results get better and better as you place those dice there. The power of what you're doing is enhanced by the number of dice. For example, this particular token here allows you to move your airship down here and collect those cubes that you then can use because you're saving those people. You'll notice that the first one just has these dots. That means that you get to move 2. The next one gives you a +1. Next one gives you a +2. So each time you go there, you get to start moving more and more. So this 2, 3, and then 4. So you can see it does get better with each time that you revisit that particular location. As I said, I will go over what each and every one of these spots does, but I just wanted to make sure that you understood that. So as you're placing these dice, you're going to be taking those actions and going through the whole process. Now, with the monsters, however, you aren't going to be doing the little action. Obviously, there's the monsters that are there. When you put dice on the spot with the monsters, as long as you equal or exceed a die that is on that location, you can then blow up the die that's there. Now, this is important because if you don't blow up the monsters, you don't take care of the dice, everybody will get negative victory points for each die that isn't taken care of. So if you had a situation where with these you could put like this 2 there, and then you could blow up either the 1 or the 2. If red came and on the next turn, so if you went 2 and you blew up this 1, then red could go there and go 3 and blow up this 3. And he could leave the 2 if he wanted to, as far as whatever. Now, if like, or for example, let's say he did 6 like that, and he blew that up. So if green came the next round and put a 4 and a 3 down for 7, he could blow up 2 of these, and so that would take care of all of the dice on that particular like little robotic, or this elemental nuke, as it will. So that is how that works in those particular locations. Each time you get to destroy, you destroy one of those dice, you get what's called an honor token. Honor tokens are worth victory points at the end of the game, but more importantly, after each round of the game lasts 4 rounds, you get to use them to vote on trying to get these little the bonus points. In this case, this one here, and these are randomly chosen. There's several of them, so you're not going to use all of them. This would give you 3 victory points for each crystal you've collected that is your player color, so blue or red or green. You can, and then you bid, as you probably know. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but many other games you put your hand in the middle and you reveal, and whoever has the most, wins the bid. If you tie, the tied players get it. So there you go. That's how that works. Now, before I go and tell you what each one of these little actions does and show those actions, there's one other thing that you do. At the beginning of the game, you have these cards. And these cards are these different heroes with different abilities. You're going to draw 3 of them, and you're going to have 3 of these cards in your hand. The 3 cards basically let you break the rules in some way. So, for example, the warrior, when you place the warrior down, you then would place that in these little, like they're in the spaceship, if you will. You place them in those spots, and you can't see it, but there's a third one on the top of the board way up here. You place it on there, and then you can then affect the dice. Like the warrior here adds 3 to a die, the power die, and you then change it, or up to a maximum of 6. You can't raise it up, past that. And some of them allow you to actually kind of mess with players and do things where, like a paladin, when you place a paladin die, you notice that it allows you to put what's called a die in jail. So if you had a situation where, red had put that there, and then blue came here and then put the paladin there, they could take that one and put it in jail, if you will, in that particular spot. So, and it just, you kind of mess with people as far as their dice and what's going on. So, just want to make sure you understood that. Now, this is an area control game as well. After all the dice are done, you will be extrapolating the number of dice in each region, not section. And whoever has the most dice in the region will win the area. And then the second player will be the second player, and third player will be third, and so on and so forth. Now, the way that you score the points this is kind of clever, is that the person that is in the lead will score the combination of the 2 tiles that are there. So if you did this, it wouldn't end up like this, but let's say you did it here, just perfect example. Yellow has 3 dice. The pips don't matter. Remember that the pips don't matter. Yellow has 3 dice, green has 2 dice, and blue has 1 die. There is a 4 and a 3 for victory points. So yellow would get 7 for that. Green is in second place, so they get 4. Blue is in third place, and they would get 3. So that's how many victory points you get from that particular situation. Cool. All right. So now, finally, the different actions that you can do by activating each one of these spots. All right. Now, one of the major things about this game is being able to both, keep your engines powered, so you can, do powers with your engine and take actions with your ship, keeping your shields powered, and then using your shields to power up your engine. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of like a circle, if you will. When you collect, you can notice these little functions here, these little gears. When you collect gems and put them into your ship, you'll notice that will cost you engine. You will then use your gems that you collect to increase your shield, and then you will decrease. And then you have this little a circle here. It starts here on 4, and you increase your shield. You will then use your shield to power back up your engine. So it's kind of like as my father would say, a self-fulfilling prophecy circle, if you will. He likes saying that a lot. So that's kind of how this works, and that is one of the major things that you will do with these particular actions. Now, this purple one collects gems. And you'll see it has a 2 and a 4 and a 6. Now that is like basically mining quotas that you can use. Now it isn't so. To further explain that in a better way is that you have 2, 4, or 6 mining quotas, and then you can use that. Basically, with this one is this particular tile. And this is this region right over here. You can kind of tell it's like a little side over here. With 1 quota, you can take 1 gem from that particular location. So you could, with 2 quotas, take 2 gems from there. And that is the maximum you can take. The most you can take from any one particular area of the crystal city here is 2 gems using this action. So even if you had 6 quotas, you couldn't go in here and say, I'm going to use all 6, I'm going to take all 6 gems. You can't do that. Now, to mine at a different location, here or here, it takes 2 quotas for 1. So, basically is, if you have the first time you use this, you can use 2 to take 1 gem from either here or here, or 2 gems from here. The next time with 4, you could take, 2 gems from here, or 1 gem from here, or 1 gem from here, and 1 gem from here. Follow? So with 6, you could take 2 gems from here, and which would cost you, like 2 gems would cost you 4, and like 1 gem from there. Or you could take 2 gems and 2 gems, or you could take 2 gems and 1 gem and 1 gem. So you can see how that works. And so then you take those gems, and you will then, so like if you just take these, I'll just grab these real quick. You take these 2 gems, and you place them like here and here on your action, and you'll notice that you reduce your engine by 1. So it starts on the 2, so you'd go down like so, and you reduce your engine. So, moving on to the next possible location. Now this is where you're actually going to be using your gems to power up your shields. And you'll notice also that there is the 1, 2, and 3 gem on the top of the tile. Here, let me give you a better look at that, so you can see that. So 1, 2, or 3. So repeated uses increase the power. In this case, the 1, 2, or 3 gems directly tells you how many gems you can convert on your turn. So with 1, 2, or 3, you can convert obviously 1, 2, or 3 gems. But you'll notice down here, if it is what this means is if it's the same color, the gem is the same color as your player color. So if you were blue, you would get, for every 1 gem, you'd get 2 shield. Otherwise, it is 1 for 1. And notice that the maximum you can do is 3. So if you had like 3 blue gems, and say your shield was down here, and you use that for the 3rd time, you can increase it to 6. You can go all the way up to 8, like so. So pretty straightforward, right? Now moving on to the shield to engine conversion over here. This is pretty simple because it's unlimited. You can use unlimited amount of shield to increase your engine power. The first time, if you're using it for the first time there, you can decrease the shield by 1, and for every 1 you get 2 engine, the second is 1, and you get 3 engine, and the third is 1 for 4 engine. Now, the funny thing about this is that you can use it, like if yellow was here, yellow could say, I'm just not going to use that particular action this turn, but the next time they put the dice there, they can say, now I'm going to use it. And so then they would wait for a better conversion. So in this case, let's say blue was down to 1, and they were using it for the 3rd time, and they had 8 there. They could decrease it by 2, and then increase this by 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to the top if they're using that for the 3rd time. Because they decrease it to shield by 1 to increase their engine by 4 each time. So pretty cool how that works. And that's probably like the simplest conversion of the 3. So, as I mentioned, this is the airship rescue. Just quickly showing you how that works. Basically, the first time you use it, you get to put your airship anywhere, any one of these spots. And you can notice there's these little circles, and then you will randomly place these cubes on there prior to the game. So when you go there, you'll just place your airship down in a location, and for each location you go through, you get to collect a cube. Now, you'll notice that there are these black cubes. If you collect a black cube, those are rebels, and they will do damage to your ship, and they will actually decrease your your shields. As I said before, your ship can't get destroyed. So if you run into a situation where there's too many rebels like you'd go through that would cause too much damage, you just can't take that action. That just wouldn't be possible. So in this case, you'd get 2 the first time, then 3 moves, and then 4 moves. And each time you collect a cube. Now, I want to quickly show you these particular boards. So this first spot is black, so you have to collect those rebel cubes. I like that because otherwise people would just kind of avoid those rebel cubes. They wouldn't go through them, but you have to if you want to be able to unlock more dice. And so what this means is you have to have a black cube, and then you don't have to place them immediately. You can just place them right here on the board until sometime you can convert them. And so what you will do is you will get a black cube, in this case 2 of one color and 2 of another color. In this case it's 1 of each color, so you can see doesn't equal, and so on and so forth. So 1 red, yellow, blue, green. And then in this case all 4 of one color. If you can do that with the black cube, you'll get 3 victory points, you'll get an extra die, and you'll get to draw another card from your hero deck that you'll be able to use. Now remember, because after you draw those first 3, you don't get to draw more, but you can if you can complete those particular situations. Now, also, very importantly, if you clear off a space, normally, unless the rules state definitely, because of like a certain action or technology, you get to place one of your control markers down there. Now remember when I said you might want to not save the planet? So I'm kind of skipping ahead here a little bit, but after the 4th round, you will determine whether or not you save the planet by how many of these gems you have mined from the planet, because basically that's you tearing it apart, destroying it as it's falling to the land on Asteria. So if you manage to destroy it, depending on how many spots in this land you have, you'll get bonus points. And you probably can't see it here, but like 1 is 2, and then 4, 8, 12, 18, 24. You get bonus points for each spot that you have cleaned out. You're the last person to save the last person there. If the world isn't saved, basically those points are much lower. So instead of 2, 4, 8, 12, 18, 24, they'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So incrementally they'll be worth less. So if you have somebody who's like, knocked out like a bunch of lands and saved like, a bunch of things, and you think they might, be able to climb ahead of you with those bonus points, that's a situation where maybe you don't want Asteria to be saved. So it's kind of one of those cool little things that they have in the game. Now the last action spot that you'll see on here is this one. Now I mean there is another action spot, but it's the same. They're both drill actions, as you can see. But the last action you have here, and this is the renewal of your technologies. And quite just basically every time that you activate this location, what you'll be allowed to do is you'll be allowed to then move one of your markers onto your technology. So I don't have the game board, but so if it's off of the game board like so, you'll get to be able to put it back on there. And so and then remember, even if it has been used, because you only use it once per turn, you just be able to put it back on there with that ability. Now the multiple actions on there, you might be saying, well, geez, that seems kind of wasteful. Like, what if all my stuff is used? Alternatively, what you can do instead is you can take honor tokens. Remember these guys? If you don't have any technologies to charge up, or you just don't want to, you can go ahead and use those as well. And the thing is that those are like quotas, just like the mining quotas, or 1, 2, or 3 quotas. So the first time you get to do one like technology, if you will. The second time you can do 2 technologies or take 2 honor tokens. The third time, 3 technologies, or 3, or you could use 3 honor tokens. So you can see, and also like you can mix and match those as well. So if you had 3 quotas, you could take, say, 2 honor tokens and ready one of your technologies. So I mean, you do have multiple options as far as that is concerned. Now at some point you're basically going to run out, everybody's going to run out of dice, and they're going to run out of actions, and so that is where you are going to then do the monster explosions for the number of dice that are on there. So you cut out the number of all the monster dice on the board, and then everybody suffers the deduction of victory points. And according to the you can use shields to combat that. So in this case, if this was how it ended up, there'd be 5 out there. If you had enough shields, you could go ahead and reduce your shields by as much as you wanted, up to the number of victory point loss to prevent that from happening. And so you can, and that's up to you, the player, as well. I mean, usually you're going to use up your shields because shields are pretty easy to get back to prevent those victory points. But if you're down to 0 shields, you don't have the option, and you're just going to have to take the damage. Now, after the explosions, the monsters, that's where you get the technology. You can salvage the fragments. The way you determine that is that you once again just compare the number of dice in each section to see like who has the majority. If you have the majority dice in there, you will then get to go ahead and claim the monster, and then you'll notice there are victory points for claiming it, and also get to use the technology. Technologies come into the game being activated and primed and ready to use. You don't have to, so when you place those onto your you replace one of your other technologies, you place them on there, and go ahead and place your token on it so it's ready to be used. If you gain a technology and like it would like shove a technology off, like that you had primed and ready. So like, let's just say you had this particular technology on here, and then you replaced it with a monster technology. You do get to go ahead and just keep that off to the side of the board, and it isn't wasted. You get to use it basically one time, and then it's gone. If it had already been used, however, or like there was no technology on it, like you hadn't activated it back on, you just lose it. So like if you had prepped it and then gained a technology to use it, you would get one last final shot of using it before it's gone. So if you have a situation where the dice are the equal, so let's say it was this one ended up like this, like so, everybody had 1 die, everybody's equaled up, you're determining who gets this one. In this situation, what happens is that like whoever is the last die that was placed on there would be considered the winner, and would claim that particular that monster or that monster token and the victory points as well. So after you've done the monsters, then you would go through the process of getting those victory points for the majority of those sections, determining dice that I explained earlier. You go through the process of claiming this particular command token, so like you get the bonus points for that. You move this down slightly, and then you reset everything. You'll get new monster tiles in each one of these locations that are drawn randomly from that stack. You will then shuffle up all of both the puzzle bottom and the top tile part. You shuffle those all up, replace those all out on the board. These gems will be gone, obviously, because they'll be mine. In some cases, they won't be, in which case you put them back in the bag, you shake up the bag, and then you're going to go ahead and replace the gems out onto that location, and then you continue on, going on with the next turn. As I said, you go through the 4 turns. After you get done with all 4 of those turns, you will determine whether or not the giant meteoroid crashes into the land. Basically what happens is that if in the gem bag and the gems under, if there's 10 or less gems left, meaning you really mined a lot of the substance out of this location, then you have succeeded in destroying the Emerald City or what have you, and the Elder City, and then you get to take the top track for the points. If there are still more than 10 gems in the bag or on this particular location, then it does crash into Asteria, and they say half of the world is destroyed, and so you'll get less victory points. At the very end of the game, every 2 honor tokens you have left are going to be worth 1 victory point. Every 2 gems you have left are worth 1 victory point, and every 2 cubes you have left that haven't been used are also going to be 1 victory point. You total up the points, and whoever has the most will then thus win the game. So there you go. This is actually a very, very satisfying medium, almost like touching its toes into kind of heavy territory. There have been more than a few terms when I was challenged with how I was going to use my dice. I enjoyed this because of the fact that you can look at the other people's dice and specifically put dice into locations that will prevent them from using that spot unless they really want to go through a large expenditure of their available actions. So there's things like that that I really enjoyed about this game. I love the theme. I love the look of it. I love the different parts of the world. Everything kind of interacting. You have to worry about the monsters, and you have to worry about your ship, and you have to worry about getting these people. All those things, and they all kind of come together and flow really well into a very, very satisfying game. So let me talk more about Fallen Angel in my conclusion right now. Alright, so there you go. You should have a good idea of how to play Fallen Angel. So, as I said, like, it is like a futuristic world, but it's also a fantastic world. So, I mean, it's kind of that neat, cool dichotomy of you that, and really, honestly, I mentioned the theme in the gameplay portion, but I mean, the theme is awesome in this game. I really like it. It theoretically could be anything. You could have made this a derelict spacecraft that's going to crash into the planet or something like that. But you can tell that the designer of the game like had a world idea, if you will, or an idea of this scenario, and they've kind of built the game around that. I mean, at least that's what I feel. That's what I got from it as far as the game is concerned. Now, I mean, I went on about it in the introduction and during the gameplay as well, but there's just so many things about this game that I like. I love the whole idea of rolling a bunch of dice, then using those dice as actions. And then there is that economy of actions as well that you have to use. I mean, as far as like trying to get that, if you roll low dice, it all is not lost, because one, you can kind of mitigate it a little bit with your hero cards that you have, but also you're first to act, and so you can take those. If you have a few ones, you can take those ones and you can place them and be that first action on that particular spot, and that's really helpful. As far as making sure that, like, I like how the determination as far as like the player order goes, as far as the dice rolling, and but then, like, all's not lost of those, because you can combine those with other numbers to increase the values and things like that. So, I mean, it is one of these games where you want to use your dice as efficiently as possible, and that's where kind of like the trick lies, as far as using what you rolled and then formulating your strategy during that turn. And that's kind of one of these things that I really like about these games, and this is kind of like a heavier Euro, is because each round presents itself as a puzzle to you. You might have a plan. You might say, okay, this round I really want to collect the cubes from the planet. That's what I want to do this round, because I need more dice. I need to get on more dice for the next turn. But perhaps your die rolls don't happen. Maybe the random placement of the tile and the numbers don't coincide the way you want to. You're not going to have the ability sometimes to do what your plan is. So now you have to kind of evolve your plan, change it up, do something else, figure out a way that you can get to where you want to go by a different path, if you will. And that's what I like. There's too many games out there that are just so straightforward. It's like, okay, I need to collect these cubes. Okay, I collect those cubes. I turn them into these points. Great. I turn them into these points. Great. Next, go. There's too many games like that. This is a game where it is a serpentine direction that you need to take to get to that spot. I love the resource wheel, basically. Oh, I need gems for shield. I need shield for energy. I need engine to get gems. So it's like this kind of like constantly moving little mouse on this path that you have to keep up with. And so there's things like that about this game that I really dug. It's like one of those things where, like, even though everybody's kind of really intently staring at the board and like trying to figure out what they're going to do, everybody's got kind of like a smile on their face, because they have those little aha moments, and like when you kind of like get the puzzle pieces to click together perfectly, and you kind of turn into like a really good turn, if you will. So and this isn't a point salad game. They aren't just throwing buckets of points at you. So like each time you can gain like victory points in this game is very important and very needed. I mean, like those 3 victory points you get for being the one who takes care of the monster tile, those are huge. The 3 victory points you get for completing a line and adding a die, that's big. So like you can't. Any chance you have to score victory points in this game, you need to take. So, just for those and like tons of other reasons, I've really, really enjoyed my plays of Fallen Angel. And if you are a fan of dice heroes, if you're a fan of like a heavier Euro, I think you're really gonna like this one. And like I said, even if you're kind of still in the medium area, I mean, this isn't a Lords of Waterdeep. This isn't like a kid's glove game. I mean, you're going to have to bust out the thinking cap for this one, but it is a very rewarding experience to play, and even more rewarding when like you have those moments, those genius moments as you play, and it makes you want to come back to the game for repeated plays to kind of like prove that you can improve upon the play that you had before. So there you go. There you go. That's Fallen Angel. If you have any questions about the game, by all means, ask away. I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. This was a longer one, so I'm sorry for that. But until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.